This is going to be a video on canceled video games ideas and just how petty and how much of a bitch Stu is. Stu amoral. Yeah, my last video was kind of heavy, but whatever. So when I was president, I kept making video games. The Resident Evil game I came up with after the current Resident Evil game, after they do the remake of Code Veronica. I watched the George A. Romero documentary, and it just triggered a whole bunch of weird memories I had when I was out there in the desert. Yeah. So I wanted them to do Hindu gods, but as biohazard mutations. Yeah. This being like one of the ideas was there would be a female character, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and she would have three. There would be three of them. They'd be sisters, and they would secretly no. They would be triplets. And the first sister would be the extreme perfect narcissist. The second sister would be like the obese smart scientist that's like doing the research. And the third sister would go missing, only to be found out that she's kept in an underground lab giving birth to clones for them to experiment on. Constantly giving birth to clones for them to experiment on. The whole reason the perfect sister, the extreme narcissist or malignant narcissistic sister, is basically abusing her other siblings in order for them to create the perfect kind of like Wesker Ouroboros or super-powered kind of bioweapon, as is the standard in Resident Evil. But her goal is not to mass produce the bioweapon and sell it to other people. Her goal is she believes it can make her a god. And her goal is to become a god through the bioweapon. So basically, after years of experimenting, they finally do it. They finally create a virus or parasite, whatever. I don't want virus parasites or something like that. That can turn her into a god. So they get her high on morphine, they fuse her with the parasite, and then she turns into a god. And everybody's cheering, and the whole thing is the reason they were using her genes and experimenting with her genes is they wanted to get the parasite aligned with her genetic structure so that there wouldn't be any of this crazy mutation shit. The entire thing would be based off of her biology to begin with. Hence why her sister is just constantly birthing downstairs in the room in the laboratory. So once she gets the power, everybody's like, oh, well, like, you know, you're super powered, and all the doctors are cheering, and then she just kills everybody. Because she has to make sure nobody else can get what she's got. And she deletes all the research. And as she's deleting the research, the obese sister upstairs gets delivered a drink that ends up being poison. You know, she does the generic coughing up blood while she's drinking it. And she's like on like the 100th story of the thing. She's the obese sister. She weighs like 400 pounds. And she sees that her research is being deleted, so she first tries to move it to a save file before realizing that she's poisoned and she's dying. And when she realized that she's poisoned and she's dying, there was this ridiculous puzzle for her to complete as an obese woman that's fucking dying. Her father's magnum is like in a glass case beside her bed, because she's the daddy's little girl sister of the three. And you waddle over, like it's one of those play scenes, like at the beginning of Village. You waddle her over to it, and then you see that it needs some ridiculous puzzle shit to open the box the magnum's in, so you have to wander around the room while dying to open the magnum. Once you open the magnum, she shoots out the window, and her malignant narcissist perfect sister is leaving, and she's like 100 stories down below, walking out of the building, big smile on her face, because now she's a god. And the obese sister shoots out the window on the 100th story and jumps out of it and dies as she's falling and crashes into her sister on the bottom. Exploding and then their genetic material. Dude, I was high on drugs when I came up with this. And then their because the parasite can't tell their genetic material apart, it fuses them together. So what comes out of it is a monstrously deformed, obese creature with two female heads for breasts, that are screaming in pain. And the virus, once again, the virus regenerates, so it just kind of puts her and her sister back together in a fused state, ruining the perfect sisters plan. But this is where it gets weird, because once they're fused together, the obese sister finds out that the third sister isn't dead and she hasn't gone missing. She's actually in the bottom of the lab. So she goes down there to find her, and then she finds her, and they end up fusing together. All three sisters end up fusing together, giving her the six-armed goddess effect, but obviously horribly deformed and mutated with fucking multiple female faces. I think I had the sisters puking up milk constantly once they fused with the sister that was constantly birthing. And then she turns into a monstrous creature that just starts birthing mutant monstrous creatures, and her area becomes known as the Nest in the city. She is the matriarchal queen with like six arms and fucking is like a giant slug thing because they're fused together. So another dude on the other side of town, committing a bioterrorism attack, does it in a zoo, and ends up basically trying to infect an elephant with the parasite, but as he's taking it out, the parasite jumps on him, and he jumps on the elephant, and then him and the elephant fuse together, creating the Hindu god that has the elephant head, and once again, the multiple arms and shit, and he's like this giant, horribly deformed, creepy elephant. This was me looking at classic gods in like history that look like mutant monsters, and then wondering how to create them through Resident Evil lore. Parasites. Think the thing I talked about with Salvador Moreau in Village. He was supposed to have a girl fused to his back, and the reason why he didn't die from the parasite is they were sharing the parasite between them. That kind of shit. But that happens, like, in the zoo, creating other Hindu-style gods. And other, not just Hindu, I kept bringing... I wanted other gods. Any god in history that was horribly deformed and terrifying. I wanted a Resident Evil mutation, version of it. And we talked about the Goliath virus for a short time, but the guys at Capcom didn't want to go to the Goliath virus. They really wanted to get away from zombies. But people love zombies. Okay. And I wanted a character fused with the Goliath virus in the town. That was also kind of like I remembered seeing this super bizarre god one time. And I don't remember what it was called, but it had like fishtails and snake parts and bird wings, and I wanted like a fusion of that with the Goliath virus. It was just, dude, it would have just been a monstrous, hideous creature with like I wanted meat wings with Resident Evil giant eyeballs in the wings where like the butterfly wings would be. So it'd be like meat flapping wings, and this thing would just be a horrifying creature. And I wanted the creatures to look like they were in misery. After their transformations. Every one of them to look like they were in misery after their transformations. And this is a Resident Evil game we will never get. One of the things I remembered about Requiem is I talked about the sniper rifle is basically useless in Resident Evil 4, and if they could just take the scope off and use the rifle normal, and then Stu kept telling him not to do that, and I started getting pissed at Stu because he kept saying stupid shit, and then I'd get mad at him and I'd start threatening to kill him. I remember one time we were talking about yellow cake uranium for some reason. And Stu kept saying you could eat yellow cake uranium. And then I told him to bring Stu a piece of yellow cake uranium, see if he would eat it, and Stu refused to eat it because he's a pussy. This was just him being a cunt, but it's just how fucking petty he is. But once again, this is the story of my life, refusing to help me no matter what. Like, if somebody had just debugged my phone, we wouldn't have had to deal with Stu interfering in anything. I was thinking about the Amazing Digital Circus and how Kane has Bubble and how Bubble is just constantly misleading Kane, and Kane's like, everything's an adventure. I did do that when I was president. I kept talking about how everything was an adventure. And I kept remembering Stu commentating and then just making everything worse or causing as much suffering as he could to make me look like an asshole. But, I mean, whatever, man. Welcome to politics, am I right? And I even told the wives at one point to get my phone fucking debugged, and they refused to do it. Like, do it yourself. Do it yourself. This is the stupidity of these people. Like, yes, your malignant narcissist church leader likes doing everything themselves because they can't admit that they're weak, or they believe that something about doing it yourself is, like, it's idiot. It's idiocracy. It's idiocracy. It's idiocracy at its finest. It's just how stupid fuckers think. It's how stupid fuckers think that get other people killed and then run off and blame other people when everything goes bad. Think about what Blondie did. Yeah. So, yeah, so that was the Resident Evil shit. I did more. I had a bunch. I remember I had this idea for this weird flappy meat carpet thing that was like wrapped around a building that just looked like a meat wall of like people that were all fused together. Like, and I wanted inspiration from the Dante's Inferno game because I really liked a lot of the shit that was in that game. I liked a lot of that crazy shit. And the Capcom guys just kind of rolled their eyes and were telling me I was going too extreme with the hyper mutated sexuality and the weird fucking grotesque giant monsters. They're basically one of the guys in the thing. There were two people. One of them was like the final boss, and the final boss was this chick that had like how the Goliath virus. I think it makes the right arm giant and puts an eyeball in it. There was going to be a female parasite with a blue eye. That would be the opposite of the Goliath virus. It'd be the female version, and when those two things meet in the game, because you fight them separately throughout the game, they're kind of like the stalker people. They come for you. They're chasing the main characters of the Resident Evil game I was talking about. They end up fusing together, giving a singular beast a giant right arm and a giant left arm with an eyeball in it. And then it develops like a kind of amalgamated, stretched out, deformed female-male fusion of a horribly deformed, mutated, like, spiky, spiny god blob thing. I don't even know how to describe it, really. It was just disturbing, and I thought it was a really good idea. Yeah. And the Capcom team was like, we're done. We're not making that. So I don't think we'll ever see that Resident Evil. Where you're fighting basically mutations of people who are like one of the things was there would have been Anubis dog like people, and they would just appear out of nowhere at first with no real explanation, but then later you'd get to see a guy kill one of the dogs that's infected. And then the dog's head would split off with tentacles and slither across the room and jump on that guy's head and start like the tentacles ripping through the body and then fusing with it and then turning him into an Anubis. There was all types of crazy shit like that I came up with. One of the people you end up killing in the game is basically, I wanted to say they were non-gender binary, but they might have been a girl. I'm not sure on that. Very effeminate creature that fuse themselves with a bird to kind of become like an angel, and you just end up wrecking that thing's ass. Yeah. There's that, and oh man, I've been talking forever, haven't I? The other thing was Borderlands. I wanted Ellie from Borderlands to become a siren. I did. They're gonna kill Ellie in the Vault of the Damned, but I wanted her to become a siren. And I wanted a main character that specialized in blood. She was a big titty goth chick. there was Fable 4. I had an entire thing about I wanted a fart spell and an obesity spell. Like, you can get fat in the game. You could make an obese female character, and she would have a spell where she farted and knocked people out or knocked people back. Like, using the fart animation in, like, the Fable 2 game. Yeah. It was really stupid, but I was high on drugs, and these were just, like, little weird fantasies and shit, and you might notice there's a lot of obesity in my fantasies. That's because I like fat chicks. Yeah. And I really wanted to mix a lot of this media together into a lot of games. And the entire time, fucking Stu kept interfering and telling him not to do that, or that's a bad idea, or that's stupid. And every fucking time, like, dear God, like, I don't even know why the fuck I tolerated that shit at all. But I know why. I was fucking high on drugs and really stupid. Yeah. So my entire presidency was marred by fucking Stu being a cunt because he had nothing better to do because he's a fucking loser. And he couldn't deal with the reality that he's a fucking loser. And I remember multiple times telling the wives to go out and kill that guy, but the problem is these people love killing anybody that's not a member of the church. But when it comes to killing somebody that's a member of the church, there's a fucking problem. Okay? That's bullshit. Okay? Like, if I'm fucking president and I say that faggot needs to die, I remember one time telling him to go kill Stu and then just say he's missing in action. I was like, and I remember saying it, I was like, officially, every church leader does not die. They cannot be killed. They're just missing in action. And I remember the wives just staring at me, and I was like, this is the new law. I was like, we will never admit a single church leader dies because they're gods. And I was like, and if they're gods, then they cannot be killed. Therefore, they cannot die. And I was like, so we can go kill Stu and then lie and say he's somewhere else. And the wives just stared at me and they didn't say anything. They just stared at me. And I was like, what? 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 I didn't fucking care. I just remembered Stu fucking up so much shit I was doing. Even talking with people and trying to get a better comprehension on what's going on in the world. So yeah. It's amazing he was ruining even minor projects. I remember, I think some of the smarter things I did was when I put other people I knew were smart and capable in charge of projects. I remember telling these girls to run a show for women. I remember telling these girls to create an anime for women. I remember, dude, just even the K-pop Demon Slayers was something I said I wanted. It's a female project for women empowerment. How women do empowerment. Like, all that shit was all shit I came up with when I was president. And I guess those were good decisions because I didn't have to worry about Stu fucking it up. Which is what Stu does. He was just fucking everything up. But he was doing it deliberately, so whatever. Once again, had I had my wits about me and a fully functioning brain, it would have never happened. But as we know, whenever I need help, you ignore me. And then when it goes bad, you get mad at me. Man. If only people would just shut the fuck up and do the right thing. My religion, leave it in the church. Leave it in the church. Don't take it home, and don't force it on to other people. Leave it in the garbage where it belongs. It's trash to begin with.